they tell us there's about to be another network story, incidentally, on angels, guardian angels. There's a lot of stories lately about that. And in those shows, you will see a lot of examples of relatives who are gone and yet act as guardian angels for those who remain.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. In the ongoing one that's going on, I live in a house that has a spirit. She is non-threatening. I first found out about her about 6 months after we moved in. I kept hearing things and thinking it was our cat or, my dog going down the stairs or something. And I walked upstairs one day and my daughter is talking in her room. And I went and said, "Who are you talking to?"
Yes.
And she said, "There's a man in the corner." And she described my grandfather, which would have been her great-grandfather. We found that out when I put up a picture of him and my grandmother in the front room. And she said, "That's the man I talk to every day." So that would fit into your guardian angel. But the lady who lived here in this house built it. And I used to think with all these people walking up and down the stairs that it was just me hearing things. And I asked my brother about it because he had had the house before me. And he said, "You're lucky that's all you find. I used to see the door move."
I wouldn't like that.
She's never threatened me. Every evening at 10 o'clock, she comes in the front door. And every morning about...
You mean the door opens?
It makes a noise that I cannot get it to make. And the keys are in the lock. The door itself does not move.
I couldn't handle that. I don't think I'd handle that well at all. Now maybe it is something you get used to, and you're about the second or third person I've talked to this morning who said, "Look, it's ongoing and I'm used to it and it doesn't bother me now." But I don't think I could be that way.
But you see, she's given me lessons that as long as we don't harm her house, she means no harm to me. And she did protect us from, we had someone try and break in here as I was trying to come in the front door one night, and she refused to let me get the door open until the people had gotten out of the back.
That's quite a story, thank you. That is those are several, actually, guardian angel type stories. And there are a number of programs of that sort yet to air. There's been a series of them. Relatives who, I guess, are able to return or who are here, who are watching out for their loved ones. Unreasonable? If there's an afterlife, I don't think so. In fact, entirely reasonable, really, when you think about it. A little frightening, but certainly reasonable. We'll be back. If you need proof, you may not find it here. On the other hand, collectively, as you listen, to deny the intelligent, articulate stories that you're hearing seems silly. Dear Art, my grandmother Lucy used to come to my family on certain days and tell us that she had seen the lady dressed in black. That day, somebody in the family would die. She was frighteningly right. For when she saw this woman, someone in the family always died on the same day. Lucy was the only one that could see the lady in black. That's Ryan from Kogo Land. On the wild card line, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hi, Art. This is Teresa from Seattle.
Well, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Are we on the air now?
sure hope so.
Oh, okay. I just turned off my radio. I have a couple to tell you about.
Go right ahead.
The first one, I was about 16 years old, and I had just moved up to Seattle to live with my dad. I had been living with my mother, and my grandmother had been living in the home. And when I left, we had been close pretty much all my life, but my teenage years, how kids are.
Sure.
And we kind of had a little disagreements and whatever. And one night, I heard someone call my name, and I woke up, and I thought I was hearing things. And I looked at the clock, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I laid back down, and I heard it again, and I looked up, and there was my grandma. And it was like she was coming down out of the ceiling,
Yes.
but I couldn't see anything except from the waist up, and her arms were outstretched toward me, and she said my name 2 or 3 times. And
Was she solid in appearance?
you know, she was like a kind of an opaque. I wouldn't say translucent, but you know, it was kind of like she was airy, if that makes any sense.
It does. Oh, yes, it does.
Okay. And after she said my name 2 or 3 times, she just kind of vanished. And I felt at peace. I wasn't afraid. And I didn't really just think anything more about it than getting up to get a drink of water. It just seemed totally natural to me. And later on that morning, when everybody was up about 9 o'clock, my mother called. And when the phone rang, I said to my brother and to my dad, "That's Mom. Grandma died last night." And they looked at me like I was nuts. And my brother said, "Yeah, sure." And he picked up the phone, and it was my mother saying my grandmother had died in New Mexico at 3 o'clock in the morning. With the time change, it was the exact same time I heard my name being called. And I've always felt that was her way of making peace. And I never felt any guilt. I just felt like she understood. And it was kind of a neat experience. And the next one kind of has to do with the angel,
Yes.
although I never saw the angel. We had a big inaugural day storm here a couple of years ago, and trees were blown down, and I live in an area where there's a lot of really old growth trees and stuff, really big firs, and they don't have much of a root system, and many went down. And about 3 weeks after that, we had another bad windstorm, and I was so frightened. My heart was pounding and everything, and I had just read a book called Where Angels Walk,
Yes.
and I thought, I'm going to try this. You know, I believe in guardian angels as they said. What the heck? So I just said, "Oh Lord, please send your angels to protect me and stop this wind." And it immediately stopped. And my daughter was on her way to school that morning. She was on the way to the bus stop. And she said, "Mom, it was so clear." She said it was blowing and everything, and all of a sudden it was just like somebody turned off the switch. So I knew it wasn't my imagination. So that's just a couple of incidents.
A couple of very good stories, and I thank you.
Well, thank you. I love the program. I'm listening with rapt attention. I got all my lights turned off.
Good for you. Thank you. If you anybody with guts will turn off the lights, turn them down. Better yet, light a candle. Of course, the only trouble with that is that when you do, you provide an inviting atmosphere. Don't you know that? I think many times people provide the atmosphere that allows. I really don't know what I'm talking about, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. They provide the atmosphere that allows the entrance of whatever these things are that we're talking about. So if you dare, provide the atmosphere. On the toll-free line, you're on the air. Good morning.
Sure, I saw that your newsletter came out, and I'd like to suggest that the title be changed to Beyond the Pale.
Yeah. Well, I take it that you are a skeptic.
No. Even though it does have a little bit of criticism of the content, it also means that it's beyond the mediocre pack.
Well, I hope so. I think so. What we're doing is, I admit readily, a little different. A lot of the content in the newsletter is going to be very standard stuff, but a lot of it also will reflect what we do.
What do you mean by what you do?
Well, from time to time on this program, as evidenced by this morning show and others like it that we do, we just sort of leave the beaten path and begin to talk about things that, frankly, a lot of others don't. Or if they do, they don't talk about it seriously.
Okay, well, I just thought that After Dark was used by 2 other people, and you'd lose
time that we do what we do, sir. Thank you very much for your call. After Dark describes the time that we function in, doesn't it? Hello, Mr. Bell. One of my favorite uncles was my Uncle Lester, one of my father's brothers. We enjoy each other's company, did to a great degree. He loved to tell us war stories, and I was the only one in the family who ever seen it. Never tired of it. We would always greet each other by sneaking up, about that, behind the other, giving a firm tap on the shoulder while standing behind the opposite shoulder. Of course, the recipient of the tap would look to the side that the tap came from, and no one would be there. Then he'd look to the other side, and there would be the pranking party. We played this game on each other just about every evening, every meeting. Uncle Lester died in 1972, a rare blood condition. I lost a friend. While talking to my father face to face about our recent loss, I felt a definite, firm tap on my right shoulder. I turned to see my mom. She wasn't there. I turned to my left. She wasn't there. I smiled and cried. Thanks, Art. Don from St. Louis County. On the toll-free line, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. Is this Art?
Yes, it is.
Hi, am I on the air right now?
I hope so, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't screen calls, ever. We just put people on the air.
Oh, great. Well, I heard you earlier speak about how animals are more receptive.
I believe they are.
Okay. Well, let me run this one past you.
Okay.
I had just come home from work. It was, probably around 10. It was dark outside.
10 o'clock at night. Okay.
Yeah, well, my room is about 16 feet from the garage door, and that's from the inside. And I was just getting ready to go to bed, and I heard something, a loud crash in the garage, and I went out there, and we had a workbench out there. I turned on the light, and there was my cat sitting on the workbench. It had knocked over a can of gasoline, and apparently it drank some. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Well, what happened was, what really got my attention was it was howling. It was just shrieking. And it took off. It was on a odd course. It was making circles, I'd say, around the floor.
This is a joke.
No.
No?
The cat was screaming at the top of his lungs, and the next thing I know, it heads straight for me, and I had no alternative. I shut the door. So the next thing I hear is like a scraping along the door, and then I hear a smack. Okay, a smack on the roof, and then I heard a loud crash on the floor, and that was about it. It really, I wasn't quite sure what happened until I went out later and found my cat. It apparently it ran out of gas.
I told you it was a joke. I heard it. Thanks for the call. On the first-time caller line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, Art. This is Bill calling from the Seattle neighborhood of Capitol Hill.
Hi, Bill.
Hi. I heard a lot of really crazy, fantastic tales tonight.
That's
Mine's
right.
kind of pretty much down earthling that maybe a first-timer might understand. When I lived in Lawrence, Kansas, I lived in a house that was said to have been haunted, and my roommate told me about, kind of strange poltergeist type episodes and things. And one night I was sitting in this large room with a bunch of friends of mine, and one of my friends and roommates was out studying, and I thought he came home, and I saw him walk past the door, and I was going to play a trick on him, kind of pat him on the back or jump on him or something.
Sure.
And he wasn't there. And then through the bathroom, he was in the hall, and I thought he turned the corner in the bathroom, went to his room, and he wasn't there. And after I moved out of the house, people reported, I knew people that lived there, and they reported some really strange.
Uh-oh. He just got cut off. Sorry about that, sir. We didn't do it on this end. It was on your end. Wildcard line, you're on the air.
Good morning, Art. This is Ray in Sacramento.
Hello, Ray.
I have a short one for you. It's rather interesting.
Sure.
It happened to my wife.
before we got married, she was living in Massachusetts and I was in Florida. And she was living in the YWCA. And she walked into, I believe it was either the library or the sitting room, a quiet sitting room in there. And she heard what sounded like a rocking chair going back and forth. You know, the creaking rocking chair. And she's blind and she had her guide dog with her. And she reached out. She finally got up enough nerve. She was listening to this for quite a little while. And she got up enough nerve to reach out to touch, to see if the chair was really there. And the minute she reached out, it stopped and it was gone.
How weird.
It was extremely weird. She told me this 6 years ago and I still remember it.
Well, these are things that stick with you, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are.
I appreciate your call, sir. Thank you. These things stick with you many times for life. You don't forget them. Why? Because they suggest the possibility or even the probability collectively of an afterlife. All right, listen, turning away for a moment from the ghosts. On the wild card line, you're on the air. Hi.
Well, good morning, Art. This is Rick, a rebellious cab driver calling from Portland, 1190 KEX.
You betcha.
We laid a quick tale. I mean, it's not a tale, Art. It happened. On June 11th, 1970, I was attending an international drama conference in Bloomington, Indiana, at Indiana University. It was about 10:30 that night. It was a Thursday. There was a full moon rising. I was walking back with another member, a delegate of the Oregon delegation to the convention. We had just attended the last play for that night. We were walking along some shrubbery. I know there was a hedge and trees off to my right, and I'm talking with my friend. I look over to my right, and I stopped cold in my tracks. There was a woman in the woods staring at me. She was absolutely out of place, Art. She was wearing white clothing reminiscent of clothing that I would see in 1930s movies, right down to her hairstyle.
Yes.
I couldn't see her eyes. I glanced at her for a moment. Like I said, I stopped cold. I looked at my friend. I said, Jeff, and I turned my head back to the right, and she was gone. I couldn't figure out where she could have gone to. There was enough of a hedge there. I couldn't get over it. I felt compelled to follow this hedge around off the sidewalk, probably about 30 yards, 40 yards off away from the sidewalk. My friend was with me. We rounded another corner. At that moment, the bushes to the right began to shake violently. There was no wind that night, Art. My friend took off running.
I would too.
I found myself standing in front of a stone wall that was about 2 feet high. What I was looking into was an old cemetery that was hidden by the hedge and the shrubbery, which is actually on the campus at Indiana University.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I stepped over it. I walked, I don't know, I was maybe 30 feet into the cemetery. I stopped and I looked down the moonlight or the street light or whatever was illuminating it. I stopped and looked down at a headstone. I remember the woman's name was Mary. The date of death was 1936. And I looked at it and I realized the headstone was shattered. I looked up while I was trying to, gather what this all meant. And I saw her again, probably about 20 to 25 yards away from me, moving across the cemetery from the right to the left, and this time she just faded away. And that was about the time, I don't know, I started looking around and I realized that all the headstones were smashed. All of them vandalized. I was consumed with this incredible fear, panic.
Yes.
Anyway, other members of the Oregon delegation saw me running. There's a wooded area, nearby. It was probably about a half a mile away. I mean, I was just running. I don't know where I was running to, Art, but I was leaving. I mean, I was gone. They ran. They caught up to me. They stopped me. No one had reported the vandalism. I believe to this very day the woman wanted someone to see what had happened in there.
Wow, what a story. And you swear this is a true story?
Art, I can see her looking at me. That first glance to this very day is a snapshot that is in my mind forever.
I cannot imagine that that would not change your life in some way. Many
Well,
ways.
yeah, of course it did, Art. I mean, there was immediate,
Sir,
tangible evidence.
I understand. I understand, sir. I've got to go. I'm at a break. Thank you very much for the call. There's another one.
We continue with your calls to the Kingdom at 9 and Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Now here again is Art.
Good morning. It's a dark night out there. This is the annual Halloween program, the next big one. Boy, there have been some good stories. If you want a copy of this program, we can make it available to you. And I can understand you might want to archive this one. You can get a copy of this program by calling 1-800-917-4278. Getting a lot of faxes already asking about that. Yes, it is one of those that we make available. And they do a very good job of it, too. They exorcise all of the commercials. And they put it on a high-quality tape and get it to you quickly. Indeed, the ordering process has now been speeded up, and we think you will not have trouble getting through because there are a gazillion operators standing by. So if at any point you decide you want a copy of this program or any guest program that you hear, or special program of this sort, the number to call is 1-800-917-4278. In addition, that is the number you call if you would like to subscribe to our brand new newsletter called After Dark. Maybe we should call it Beyond the Pale After Dark. 1-800-917-4278 with Visa and MasterCard only. On the wild card line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art. This is Greg, Linwood, Washington.
Hi, Greg.
And I got a pretty unique story
Good.
that happened to me when I was living in the vicinity of Oakland, California.
Yes.
I don't know. I had two really bad things happen to me that week. I lost a real good union job. A day later, the transmission went out on my truck. And
Isn't it the way when it rains, it pours?
yeah, and there's, no fucking, I mean, they just shouldn't have happened, but they did. And then I hired this old black man to help me tear down a chimney and rebuild it.
Yes.
And this house is located, probably one of the oldest houses in Berkeley. And it was kind of a creaky old house to begin with. The landlord said he could never keep the tenants in there for more than a few months. And I didn't think much of it. I worked on it once before. And anyway, I spent all morning. We built a scaffold. We were very careful. I was taking all the precautions and just lowering bricks down to him in a bucket.
Sure.
And I had a brush pushed up against the bottom of my the base of the chimney, right close to where the roof meets the chimney.
Right.
And it's one of these brushes off a push broom. So it was a large wooden brush, back, like a horsehair brush.
Yes.
And just out of the blue, just before 12 o'clock noon, that brush took off on its own, started, sliding down the roof. It went over the gutter, and it fell 18 or more feet, and it hit my helper in the top of the head. He wasn't wearing any hat or anything. And I went down there, and I was really upset, because that was the third and the worst thing to happen to me all week long.
Sure.
And later on, we worked a little bit longer, and I went home, and I was the only one that in my family down there, and I decided I hadn't talked to my dad for about a month or so, and I called him, you know, out of just to hear a familiar voice.
Yes.
And he's up here in Seattle, and I said, well, I hope your week is going better than mine. And he says, my wife died today. So I go, what time? And he says, around noon. And I go, well, you know, I'll be up there, you know, in about a day or two. I'll see you when I get up there. And I found out when I got up there that she had actually died, you know, just about the same time that my friend got hit in the head. And a few, you know, not long after she died, my stepbrother's wife gave birth to a baby girl just a few minutes after she died, about, you know, 1 or 2 floors above her in the same hospital. And, you know, and then I was the one that called my father, and I don't know. To me, it was just kind of a
Strange time.
very strange.
Thank you for the call, sir. Well, I don't know if that's exactly a ghost story, but I've heard similar things from other people, and that is, there are certain times in our life when, without explanation, there is one dramatic event that follows another. A series of dramatic events, connected or not connected. Very dramatic, very sometimes life-threatening, life-changing events. And they seem to come together. Now, what does that mean? That there is something at that moment affecting our life that is out of the norm, shall we say, or not? I don't know. On the wildcard line, you're on the air.
Hello, Art.
Hello.
This is Mike and Phoenix.
Yes, Mike.
This is an event that just happened a week ago Monday.
All right.
One of my employees came into work, and he has some weird dreams sometimes, but he came in and he says, I got to tell you about this dream. And he says, I had this dream that I was standing in a front yard of a house, and I was filming with this old video camera that my mom had given me. And he was standing there, and there was a white picket fence, and there was an open gate, and his girlfriend, first of all, his mother came walking through the gate, and his mother had just died this past, I think it was February.
Oh.
And then following her was his girlfriend's grandfather.
This is all in the dream.
Yes, in the dream.
Yes, all right.
And he had just died this past year also. And then following behind him was his girlfriend's grandmother.
Kind of a March of the Dead.
Yes, and he described, actually he didn't know who the last lady was because he had never seen her.
Yes.
And he described her to his girlfriend, and she said that was her grandmother, and she was wearing a pink dress with a bow on it, and she said that's what my grandmother, that's her favorite dress that she wants to be buried in. And so he told me about this dream. This was a week ago Monday, and 2 days later on Wednesday, he came into work late, and he says, oh, I'm sorry that I'm late. My girlfriend's grandmother just died.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Really weird. Yes, thank you very much. I wasn't sure where the video was fitting it all. I guess I was just in the dream. On the toll-free line, you're on the air.
Morning, Art. Rusty in Kansas City. What's up?
Hello, Rusty.
Well, how's the stories going back for months?
Well, if you've been listening,
I
Rusty...
haven't. I just got in.
I see. Do you have one for us?
I most certainly do.
Go ahead.
I'm 23 now, but at the time I was about 12 years old, and my family and I moved into a house at a residential lake here in Missouri. The houses there at this lake are pretty old. In our basement, I don't know if this is totally relevant, but there was a lot of natural rock. I don't know if
coincidences happened as far as leading to the basement. A door, they cut the door out of the natural wood walls. I mean, the wooden walls, they cut the door out. It was made out of the wall.
No, I've got you.
And a lot of times it had a little latch, and a lot of times, out of nowhere, this little latch would just flip up, and the door would open. And then minutes later, it would close, and the latch would go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, this happened times, and we lived there for about 2 years, and it got to the point where we were actually used to it. And there are a lot of other smaller incidents.
That's what a lot of people have said this morning, Rusty, that people live in haunted houses or houses where these things are occurring, and it finally gets to the point where it doesn't scare them,
Yeah,
doesn't bother them, you just get used to it, and you live with it, and it's part of what you live with.
Exactly. At the time, though, I was 12 years old, and 2 bedrooms were upstairs, 1 bedroom was downstairs. That was my room. By itself.
Okay, thank you very much for the call, Rusty. There's another case, and isn't that interesting? Something that would scare me and turn me different colors, I'm sure, pale white, very pale white. Other people just learn to live with after a while. My cat Polo and I are enjoying being frightened by your Halloween tales. Here in Hawaii, we don't have goblins, but we do have menahunis, little people who accomplish strange things in the night. Aloha, Malia. On the first-time caller line, you're on the air. Hi.
Yeah, Bob, how you doing?
Just fine.
Kevin in New Orleans.
Yes, Kevin.
Yes, I have 2 quick ghost stories to tell you about. My girlfriend lives in a place called Chalmette, Louisiana.
Yes.
And her house was buried on Chalmette Battlefield. And her mother and father would always tell me about these ghost stories that they would happen in the house and everything. And I never really believed it too much, you know. So I would always make fun of it and everything. And we were renting a bunch of ghost stories from the video store. And we're all in the living room together alone. And we're watching Amityville Horror.
Yes.
And he has his stereo hooked up to the TV. Well, it wasn't on at the time, but about halfway through the movie, the stereo just blasts on out of nowhere. And I mean, it's really loud.
Right.
And he jumps up and he checks it and he turns it off. And he just looks at me and shrugs it off like, well, you know, these things happen all the time. And I'm like, well, you know, it never happened when I was there. You know, they always told me about it, but I never seen it happen before.
New Orleans and Louisiana in general strikes me as a place that is old, ripe with a lot of tradition, and it's kind of a place where ghosts would be.
Yes, sir. We just had it right up in our article in our paper today about ghost stories in New Orleans, and seems to be a lot of superstitions going around, especially with the old French Quarter and the Battle of New Orleans and everything. A lot of old cemeteries and such.
I'm sure there are. It's just the right kind of atmosphere. Thank you. And again, relating to atmosphere, folks. Even this program, as you sit this morning and listen to it, provides the kind of atmosphere that will allow things to occur. So I'm not going to be surprised, and I'm sure you should see the stack of stories that I have. I'm never going to get through all of them today. The fax machine has just been burning up in the other room. I'm never going to get to them all. But before it's over, I guarantee I will get stories of things that have occurred during this program. And I believe the reason for that is atmosphere. Or, as I used to say in the 60s, set and setting. That's kind of an old drug expression, set and setting. We are providing the set and setting for the introduction of whatever it is that we're going to hear about. And I guarantee that over the next few days, and I will catch you up on it, you will hear of things that occurred during this program, in fact, because of this program. On the first-time caller line, you're on the air. Hello.
Oh, good fine tingling morning to you, Mr. Bell.
Yes, indeed. Where are you calling from?
Red Desert, Wyoming, but my residence is in Oregon.
Red Desert, Wyoming?
Yes, it's up on Interstate 80.
Okay.
I'm on a cellular phone, so I'm going to pull over the side of the road. I had 2 incidents happen to me in my life, and but they're both very long details, so I'll only give you one.
All
house about 13 years ago. It's a mobile home. And after we moved in, strange things started happening, but they never happened when my husband was around. My jewelry had come up missing. Important telephone numbers, I'd leave by the telephone. If I left the room like overnight or had gone to work, they would come up missing. All kinds of strange things started happening, and I talked to my husband about it. He thought I was flipping my wig. And he really thought, I had really lost it. I had this really bad feeling of foreboding coming over me constantly, almost like a depression type thing.
I know about those, yes.
And I called some people in the church, and they came out, and they would not do an exercise on the house, but they did give it a blessing. And that did not seem to help. In fact, after the blessing, things seemed to get exaggeratedly worse. And one day my son came home from school, and I was at work, and stood there and talked to my husband for several minutes, went to his room, came back out, and my husband was gone. And that night when I came home from work, he says, Mom, where's Dad? And I said, well, I suppose he's at work. He's a long-haul truck driver. And I hadn't expected him home until the weekend. And he said, Mom, Dad was here. I talked to Dad. And the first thing that came over to my mind was, oh my God, he's been killed in a wreck, because you've heard stories of, family coming back.
All night long.
And so I immediately called his work, and no, he hadn't been in an accident. They hadn't heard from him, and everything seemed to be fine. So that night, I was just on pins and needles. That night, my husband called home, and I was just relieved, you're okay. And I told him what happened, and he said, well, both of you are losing it. Well, we had gone over to our neighbor's house, and things were really weird going on in the house. I'd be standing at the stove and watch people walk through my living room. I'd be standing at the kitchen sink, and I'd watch people walk through my living room.
What kind of people? Solid?
No, apparitions.
Apparitions.
Yeah, just, very faint, very light people walking through.
Yes.
And things, like I said, things continue to disappear. Things we've never been able to find plants either. So we talked to my neighbors, and they'd lived there, many more years than we had. And they said, well, this is the old Barlow Trail, which, where we live. And I said, well, yes, I understand, which is the shortcut off of the Oregon Trail going to Salem, Oregon, instead of taking the Oregon Trail on into Oregon City.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, I realize that. And they said, well, you do realize that when a group of settlers would stop and camp, there was a group that stopped here, where we are. And I said, no, I didn't know this. And a renegade band of Indians had come in and massacred the people.
Oh, there we go.
And I said, oh, well, this is wonderful. Why didn't we know about this before we moved in? And so our neighbors continued to tell us that in their back bedroom, where her daughter used to stay when she was living at home, sometimes during the night, they could hear this moaning, crying sound. And one night, Richard was up. He'd come home from work, and he was up and had gone back. He heard the moaning and the crying, and the girl was trying to open the door, and he was on the outside trying to open the door. And as long as the moaning was going on, they couldn't get the door open.
Wow.
But when the moaning quit, the door just opened, almost through both of them, through the wall, because it just opened so fast. And so we got to, really, my husband didn't believe all this, so they told him again what their experience had been. This happened several times.
Okay, we've got to hurry here.
Okay. So one night, my husband was home on the weekend, and we'd gone to bed, and I used to pry the door shut so they wouldn't open, because I'd come home and find doors open, kitchen cabinets open, refrigerator open, dishwasher running. And we went to bed, turned out the light, and just, bam, the back door flew open. And we got up, got our guns, got up, went to the back door. Nothing there. Never had any problems with them since.
Weird story. Well, thank you. Thank you for relating.
Thank you very much for taking it.
Take care. One of the in the newsletter. Not Not the one I told you about earlier, taken by a stonemason, but the second ghost photograph that's being published in the newsletter. I hope it comes out well. It is one that was taken in Louisiana. It was taken near a farm in Louisiana. And there are, it's hard to count, but perhaps as many as 10 apparitions that are in various stages of visibility. Some of them you can see right through them. Some of them are almost completely solid. And they are dressed in what appears to be period costume, perhaps from the 1800s. And this has impressed me for a long time as well. So this is also published in the newsletter. You tell me what you make of it. On the toll-free line, you're on the air.
Hello, Art. How you doing?
Just fine, sir.
Yeah, there were two stories, book stories I wanted to tell. And one concerns my mother, and the other concerns my Aunt Rita.
All right.
Now, Aunt Rita is my aunt that died 27 hours after birth. And what happened was, my mother had died, and I received a telegram in the mail. And I called home and finally found out that she had passed away. So what happened was that, this is kind of strange, but it's really a good story. What happened was, my sister Nancy, she is a practical nurse, and when I called and found out my mother passed away, my sister told me that the priest and the doctor that examined the body pronounced her dead and signed a death certificate of blessed death. So Nancy, shortly after that, had a little baby girl. It was about an 8-pound baby girl,
Yes, sir.
and it was on a heart monitor. And what happened was that Nancy heard the heart monitor go off, and she went into the other room to run in, and right there in the archway, she was standing there, and there was this really beautiful woman. And she looked at the baby, knelt down at the crib and kissed the baby, and looked at my sister and said, "Boy, she's beautiful," and then she vanished in front of her. And what happens is my sister Nancy told my other sister that it was my mother, and she could tell it was her from the pictures that she had of her years ago when she was younger.
Wow. We're going to have to leave it there because I'm way out of time, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll split this in half. And that's easy because it is in two halves, and we'll do the other half right after the news at the top of the hour. This is Ghost to Ghost AM.
From the Kingdom of Nine, you're hearing Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell on the CBC Radio Network.
Good morning. Welcome back to the program. Finishing up. Dear Art, I live in a haunted house. Would find it tough to live anywhere else. I don't bother them. They don't bother me. It's kind of like having roommates. The worst thing about them is they scare the bejesus out of anybody that encounters them for the first time. It's kind of laughable. You can tell any number of people about these entities or things, but until they run into them face to face, I find they have very little to talk about. It's much more interesting to ask someone in and let them work on their own versions of their story. Needless to say, the conversation livens. Cold spots are entities. As I understand it, they take the energy at hand, heat, light, EMF, and use it to create themselves or whatever. And that is the drawing that creates the coldness. Some of the other effects that people perceive, I've been told, that basically fear is a rush of energy and can move things to other levels, not always desirable. Some entities feed upon those fears like an addiction, taking more and more. Draw your own conclusions. Mike in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Art.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Ruthie from Renton.
Ruthie from Renton. All right, Ruthie, welcome.
Yeah, well, starting with the Guardian Angel, when I was 4 years old, my brother was 16, he kept saying, like, February of that year, that he was going to go somewhere and never return, and my father would say, don't forget your bike. He says, I would need my bike. And he says, a year later, my friend Walter